What's up guys, Justin Fuller here, and I'm outside of a 2021 Honda Civic LX. So this is gonna be your base model, and I'll remind you that this is the last year that you'll find the 10th generation Civic before we make that big body style change you're gonna see in 2022. So let's hop in and check out this base model. Guys, so let's talk about what's underneath the hood of this vehicle. So as we pull you in here, it's got a 2-liter engine that is working with 158 horsepower as far as what's under the hood. Now that's going to translate out to a CVT transmission, which then throws out to these sweet steel wheels with hubcap covers right here. Now if you're looking to upgrade those, you probably want to climb up to a sport model, because then you can get an 18-inch smoked alloy, which I would highly recommend. But let's come back up here and talk about what's under here. So you've got some extra space that you're working with right here, so it's make it nice and easy if you want to add anything. Start accessing my windshield wiper fluid, my reservoir related to my radiator, my dipstick. You can see that it uses OW20 right here, my air box, my fuse box, and then my battery terminals are easily accessible in case I need to jump the car or help somebody out. So while we're up here at the front of the car, I want to talk to you about horsepower comparisons, which I'll throw up on the screen here so you can see some other models that compete regularly against this car and kind of what their horsepower is. Now secondarily, I want to talk about gas mileage in this car. This car specifically gets 30 in the city and 38 on the highway, which is fantastic as far as a commuter car goes. But let's talk about what it competes against and what they get. So I'm going to throw that up on the screen too, so you can kind of get an understanding for where this car lives in that world competing against these other vehicles. Now, while we're at the front of this car, I just want to point out and show you a couple things. Of course, you do have this nice black kind of browed setup as far as your grille goes. And then of course you've got your logo, and then down underneath is where you're going to find your radar behind your license plate. Now, and that's going to be related to Honda Sensing. You got daytime running lights on this car, and then of course your standard setup as far as your headlights go. So let's wrap around in this cosmic blue Honda Civic and point out that you do have a 16-inch steel wheel with a hubcap cover that you can see here. Now, I will point out that up here you've got a, excuse me, a little bit dirty there, but you've got a body colored and door handle colored vehicle. So you're not going to see those blacks that you typically land on when it comes to like your base model vehicles when you're looking at cars. Now, as we wrap around here, I will point out that your door locks are connected to this, so I can pop that open. It is capless, so all I got to do is stick it in and fill it up. I don't have to worry about setting up a check engine light, as far as if I don't have that tight enough on the vehicle. Now, as we wrap around the back, you do have LED brake lights, and of course your badging with Civic, and then of course your Honda symbol, and then right here is going to be where your backup camera is located. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pop the trunk off the key here and show you what's inside. While we're talking about the key though, I just want to point out that it is a standard key start. If you want that remote or push button start, you're going to want to climb up to that sport model, which is right above this. Now inside of the car, it is a single fold down, right? So not a 60-40 split, just one fold down, and my controllers right here. I do have my carpeted floor mats, which are right here, and then underneath is where you're going to find my jack, my accessories, and my full diameter spare, just not full width. All right guys, so here I am in the second row of this vehicle, and I've actually got the seat pushed all the way back, and I've still got a little bit of room, and I'm a 6-footer, right? So knowing that I can fit inside of this car, even if you can't see my head, it's up here, but it's not touching the roof yet, so I still got some room there too, right? So you can fit a 6-footer behind a 6-footer in this car, and too easy. Technically you can do 3 people, but it probably wouldn't be comfortable on a ride. Now back here I've got a gray interior on this, and it's like a neoprene finish, and then I've got black anywhere that you're gonna see where your elbows or hands would live, so that way it doesn't get dirty quite as easy, and then black across the top to help prevent glare inside of the vehicle. Now you don't have any pockets or anything back here. You're gonna have to climb models to get those, which I know is silly, but that's something Honda does, but they do give you nice places to tuck away stuff there. Before we hop out of the second row, I want to do a quick comparison so you can get an idea for leg room in this vehicle compared to some of the other vehicles out there in the market. So I'm going to throw up on the screen so that you can see a comparison as far as those inches that you're getting inside of a Civic versus some of the other cars out there that it's comparing with. Now, with that said, let's move on to the first row and check that out. So before we hop in the front row, I just want to point out a couple things as we move in here. First, both are going to be manual setups, right? Along with the next model up too, so you're going to have to climb a couple models if you want a powered seat inside of this vehicle. However, you can still do all the necessary settings. So I have a bar down here that I can slide it forward back. Of course, I can lift and lower the seat, so it's just pneumatic. As I pull up or push down, it raises, and then I can, of course, adjust my backrest. Now, while we're talking about the seats, though, it is a nice gray finish with that racing stripe down the middle, which is a cool look, and it's a nice neoprene finish. It's nice actual material, so it's not as cheap as you would imagine it might be for a base model. Now, over here on the door, I just want to point out that, of course, you have your window controls, your window locks, your door locks, and then your mirror controls. If I want to pop my trunk, I've got an easy access button here, and then I've got an easy access button to get to my gas, or excuse me, to get to my hood right there. While we're talking about gas, I'll point out that you don't see a gas button anywhere on here, and that's because, as I mentioned, it's connected to the door locks. So if I have the car unlocked, I can press and that pops open for me. All right, so as I fire up the dash, you'll know that you have a sweet looking digital display that lays out and kind of adds in here. And it's not an analog display as far as your speed, it's gonna be a digital display. So I really like that it's all digital here. And it's a nice matte finish, so even with the glare coming in from the left side, I can still see clearly all my gauges right here in the center. All right guys, so on the left side of the dash over here, first I wanna point out is your road departure mitigation. So if I start to drift to the left or the right, typically I have something to keep me centered, and that's gonna be my lane keep assist. But what this is designed for is if I start to drive off the shoulder of the road, it'll give me an audible alert, and then it'll actually start to vibrate the wheel to say, hey, wake up, pay attention. Now above that is gonna be my collision mitigation braking system. So in the event that I'm driving down the road and it's looking like I'm gonna hit another car, first I'll get an audible alert, I'll get a flash in the dash, and then it'll actually start to apply the brakes to help prevent the accident. So this is always on and running unless you press and hold to turn this off. Now next to that is my vehicle stability assist. This works with my traction control. So in the event that I go into a skid, it'll help transfer power to whichever wheel is getting better traction to help prevent and eliminate that skid. So easy enough to understand from there. All right, so let's take a quick look at the steering wheel here. So I've got it shifted up right now, and you can see that I've actually got a lot of leg space in between here. So if you're a bigger guy, no worries here. I'm a 6-footer, I'm 240, so I'm not a little guy. I can still fit in this car quite easily. So it's kind of, almost an illusion when you look at these cars and think, I'm not gonna fit in that, I'm gonna have to get something bigger. Now, on the left side of the steering wheel, you do have your Bluetooth controls. So to answer a call, hang up, and use voice command, call so-and-so, that sort of thing. The I button here will actually toggle between my menu screens. So whether I want my, my oil life, I wanna hop in here and look at anything as far as vehicle settings. So this would be like affecting my door locks and window locks. You can access those there. If I wanna move across, let me keep going here. Miles per hour or kilometers an hour, I can get to, my tripometer, and then I'm back over here to my oil life if I wanna access that, right? So I'm just using this button to toggle between those right there. Now my volume controls are right here, and then over on the right side is additional Honda sensing features. So if I hit the main button, you're gonna see A, CC, and LKS. So you can see them flashing at you up there, right? That stands for adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist. So lane keep assist uses this button right here. So if I press that, you're gonna see some dotted lines appear up there, right? So hopefully you can see those flashing at us right now. Now what this does is it uses a camera up here to detect the lines on the road. So if I start to drift to my left or right, it'll help correct for that, that driving habit, right? Assuming that I'm not using my blinkers over here. So that's lane keep assist and what it's designed for. So if you don't typically use your blinkers, you're probably not gonna be a huge fan of this feature. Now, my cruise control is set up as an adaptive cruise control, meaning that once I get up to speed, I press set. From there, I can select the distance it'll keep between me and the car in front of me using this. The more boxes you see, the more space it'll keep. Now, it's using that same camera and that radar that's down there by the license plate bracket to detect cars in front of you. So this works the same with my collision mitigation braking to prevent me from rear-ending someone. Same feature, it's bouncing it off of those cars, detecting where they are, so I can designate space. So when I set it to 65, if the car in front of me slows down to 55, my car will slow down and keep that designated spacing that I determine with this button right here. Now, if you want to flip over to classic cruise control, just press and hold this button for a couple seconds. It'll say cruise mode selected, and now I'm in classic cruise. Press it again, and it flips back over to my adaptive cruise control. Now over here, I'll point out your light stalk right here. So I do have my auto on-off headlights, so it'll automatically turn them on and off as we go. And then my windshield wiper controls are gonna be right here. Now moving over to the touchscreen in this car, I will point out that it's a, I believe, 4 or 5 inch display touchscreen. So I'll throw that up on the screen so we know what it is. If you move up to the sport level, you're gonna get that touchscreen in the car that has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a lot of additional features. I'd highly recommend it. I'll throw the review of that right up here in the corner if you wanna jump over to it. But related to this, if you just want to point A, point B, very simple setup for your car, this is a nice looking setup for you. So hopping into my radio, all I gotta do is make sure it's turned on, right? So I'm gonna turn the volume down so it doesn't go through here, but I can jump through my FM1, FM2, AM, those kind of options, and then jump over to media, whether it be Bluetooth, USB, whatever it may be that I wanna, use. As far as connecting the USB, it's right here, which it actually runs down below, and they give you this little porthole so you don't have wires running all over the place. So I do like that they do that. Now, as far as connecting up to Bluetooth, if you've never done it, press the phone button, it'll prompt you, and then just scroll to yes and hit it. Pretty easy to understand as far as accessing that. Now, if you need to get into that a secondary way, you can come down here and then go to your settings, and this will allow you to get to Bluetooth if you want to add a second, third, or fourth phone, right? So easy enough. I'm just using that menu button and then scrolling down to settings. So easy to understand and manipulate this screen. And then of course I have my favorites here. All you got to do is get your favorite and then press and hold. Now your AC controls are right here. So how much air, hot or cold, right? And then where you want that air to go, easy to understand. And then my shifter right here. If I throw on my backup camera, it of course throw up on the screen right there. So you can see that, and then I can actually toggle between my 3 different views that I have for this. So that's aimed right down at the ground. So that way if I'm backing up and I'm worried about a bicycle, my dog, whatever it may be, 6 inches from my car, and then this right here is gonna be 2.5 feet. So if I'm parallel parking, I want that car on the other side of this. And you'll see those 2 on every single screen that you see here, right? So that's my backup camera. Now I've got drive, I've got a sport mode, which will rev at a higher RPM, give me a little bit more get up and go, but I give up gas mileage. And then I have my lower gauge, which is the L. Now, speaking of better gas mileage, I can use that Econ button. If I press it, you'll see a green leaf appear up there, which is right there. What this does is it's going to improve gas mileage, but I'm going to give up a little bit of my acceleration off the pedal down here, and my AC unit isn't going to go quite as hard. So know that that's how this feature works. Now, next to that, I've got my parking brake, which is electronic. Pull up to set it, press down to release it. My brake hold button is set up to where if I have this engaged, you got to have your seatbelt on to use this, but what it does is if I'm in drive, I would be able to have this on, and when I come to a complete stop, it'll hold the brake to where I can let my foot off of the brake, and then it'll hold it, and then when I press the gas, it'll then release and we'll start moving forward again. So it's great for like drive-through lines, stop and go traffic, that sort of thing. It's a convenience feature. Now, as we move across here, I'll point out that you of course have cup holders here, and then I slide down, I've got a deeper well, so if I have a big water bottle or anything like that, I can use that. I can of course slide this back and forth, and then it does pop open. So I've got quite a bit of space to work from here. So let me move this sticker out of the way and just show you these seats again, so you can hopefully see them a little bit better. That racing stripe seat with the gray interior. As we move up onto the roof, you have gray, my standard mirror setup, and then what I call new car stuff, right? Everybody knows how this stuff works. Looking at my back window, that's how tight it is out the back, and I do have a small porthole window to help me see that blind spot that's sitting back there in my corner. So when I'm looking all the way away from the road and then trying to flip back, I have something to help me out as far as that goes. All right, guys, so that's a quick and dirty rundown, literally dirty, because this car actually does need a wash job. Sorry, I didn't wash it before I did this. But that's kind of the rundown of this car and what it has to offer. Now, when I'm looking at this vehicle, what I typically offer and move up to that sport model, yeah, I would recommend it just because the laundry list of items you're gonna get, which I'll throw on the screen for the additional cash, which will also be on the screen, so you can kind of understand if I want to jump up a model, what am I gaining out of this car? Now, when it competes against the rest of the cars in the market, I actually think this car does really well as far as what it offers from a base model standpoint and the MSRP. Now, related to that, if you're looking at other makes and models, I'd highly recommend that you come out and drive one, check it out and see what you think. But note that this car offers, you know, your backup camera, it offers your Bluetooth. But if you want some of those additional features, I would recommend that you jump up to that Smart model, which I believe is a couple grand more expensive, but I'll throw it up on the screen so that you know. Other than that, I hope that you'll like the video. I hope that you'll share the video if you got any friends out there on Facebook who are thinking about buying a new Civic. Know that the 2022 is gonna be a body style change, so that's gonna be our 11th generation. So this is the last year of the 10th generation Civic. So if you're looking at something tried and true that's been around for a while, this would be a great option. If you wanna hold out until the 2022 comes out, know that you could be looking at some different changes, especially the body and anything as far as the interior options in the vehicle. Other than that, I hope that you'll like the video, subscribe to the channel. Hope that if you want those notifications, you'll hit that bell. And other than that, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Is my shirt weird? Do I look funny? Do I talk too fast? I know that I do. Did I miss anything that you wish I'd go over? I hope that you'll let me know. Other than that, later guys!